So I want you painting three of these this quick and whatnot, but at some point we're going to have to start looking at it and saying we want to, try things out. Now I've actually gone in and made a couple changes. I didn't like that sort of traditional castle type thing. I thought I wanted to go with something more real structural looking, with these sort of attack points that they've still got castling on them, but it's this tall castle sort of structure. And so I changed it up here too. I just painted those in with lines, and I don't know, figured some of these connecting line things, these ropes hanging down would look kind of cool, tying it all together. And it does look kind of cool, so it's good. Um, so at some point now you're going to have to start defining things a bit more. So as I showed this, you can see there's sort of more definition, more separation and things, a little sharper edges happening between some of the details. And then again, still as it goes back, it's getting less and less defined. Now I'm never going to get my painting to this guy's level. This guy's stellar. I'm not, but I can make it look pretty darn good as long as I keep coming back to this for reference of sort of ideas and direction of how it should go. Mine right now doesn't feel like I'm looking down on it as much. I can see that down at the bottom down here, it looks like I'm sort of more flat in the ground. So I could try and sort of flatten my ground out by filling some of this in down here. So I might do that because I kind of like that angle that they've got it on there. You can also see a bit more of the foreground in on this side. I think I might carry it on this side actually and let the path come up over here sort of thing. Um, and I guess they kind of have that too, but I want to carry this ground across more, maybe over here somewhere. And we need a couple more layers of stuff in between. So I'll probably go in between here and add some more of these spikes and whatnot. And so I'm going to go in and define some of this a little bit more and consider some more of the specific shapes and forms and try and, clean some of it up, sticking to my base colors though. I can start deviating a little bit now, but don't deviate much. Maybe if you just want to darken and lighten one a little bit because you need a little bit more of a highlight or something, but using these, I should be able to start making some of these edges crisper and cleaning them up a little bit more and getting a little more form and play around with sort of some of the finer structure elements now in my shot by going through and just sort of tweaking things. So always come back to your reference, take another peek at it or any of your other reference images, that you've got that you're storing and thinking, yeah, that's kind of cool. I like that. Let's see if we can work that idea into there. And then we'll go from there. So keep working in layers, keep layering stuff up. I'm going to come back to my foreground layer here, and I'm actually going to drop a layer in above it because I like what I've got there, and I kind of want to continue on. I'm going to go in and maybe try another brush now of some kind. So I've got a bunch of different ones, and you can go in and see what you're going to get. So there's a nice sort of pattern. Maybe that'll give us some good stuff. So check your settings. It's got a dual brush going on again. It's got some scatter going on again, which is kind of cool. So it'll scatter the brush apart. It's so you can get this nice feel to it. Looks like I've got my pen pressure for size and angle jitter for direction, so it's following. But look at that nice patterny color. It's kind of giving me nice stuff going on there. So I'm going to go with that. Opacity is set by default in this brush to 60. I'm going to bring that back up probably um, and try some playing around with my form here a little bit. Maybe it's scattering too much as I go. Not sure. It might be a little too much going on. Yeah, it might be a little too much going on for my liking, but let's try taking the scatter amount down and see if that, or just don't scatter at all. Let's just try not scattering at all, see what I get. It could be good. Yeah, I think it's still just kind of breaking the edges too much. I want it a little crisper, a little cleaner in there. So again, maybe back to something that I had before. I think, frankly, I think these brushes are going to get me what I want because I want to get some pretty hard edges and things happening. And I kind of like some of it. And the reason I don't just go with a round brush and try and draw it in is sometimes you can see these these little as I spin around a corner, it spins the brush head around and it'll give me these sort of accidental shapes. But right now I have no opacity on, and I'm just letting it sort of just fill it in completely and trying a bit of that. And I'll come back and I'll do some patterning over top and show you another interesting technique once you've got hard shape and form going. So what's kind of cool is you want to pattern this over top of everything here. I'm just going to fill some of that in. What's a really neat trick, and you have to remember you've done it, but if I want to start throwing pattern brush over top of this, let's say, so maybe I'm just even using this one again now that's got that patterny feel, so it's got this pattern feel. I'm going to go and grab some of my browns, and I don't want to paint outside the lines. I don't want to accidentally paint over it. So what you can do is you can take your layer and press this lock button right here that looks like, I was thinking of it as a Purina sign, which is the dog food. It's the lock, I forget what they call it now. Come on, come up there, shoot, just lock transparency pixels. Basically anywhere I have painted, I can paint now, but I can't paint anywhere else. So it's really cool. I can use it now to put in highlights and stuff, um, without having to worry about painting outside of the lines. It's like the ultimate coloring book, but it will paint anywhere that I have, um, uh, you know, um, it'll paint anywhere that I've painted in that layer. At that opacity amount. So it's kind of cool because it allows you to be able to just pick things up like that and paint wherever you want, without having to worry about going outside of the lines. I'm going to go and grab some of this orange a little bit, maybe a little bit bigger brush and opacity down and just pick up some corners and stuff. And you can see with that brush, I'm just kind of tapping it down almost, trying to pick up some spots. And it's kind of neat again. I can only pick up the edges because I can't paint over here, but as soon as I start painting towards it, it'll allow me just to pick up the edges of things and maybe even less opacity. Looks kind of cool. Um, and even now, I'm just going to go and unlock it again. And I want to go and add some more of this orange down here and let it kind of come up. I think I'll add a new layer for it and let it kind of come up. So it really is just sort of, playing around. And here's one of the things that you've got to do when you're painting like this. Stop looking at your work where you're painting. Look at everything all the time, the entire thing. Stop staring at the end of your paintbrush. Your end of your paintbrush isn't the overall concern. The overall concern is the entire piece. So you got to get yourself out of staring at specifics and trying to finish a corner. I've managed to sort of crisp up this layer, which is kind of looking nice. I like this texture on here is kind of looking good, this foreground piece. So I'm going to just, and I've painted this onto here. That looks pretty good. Maybe I'm going to step back behind this one because you can see this has added all that. So I think I want to step back onto this one, go back into the other brush, and then sort of define some of those brush settings now as well. Some of the brush settings, some of this stuff here. You can see that I've got this layer going, and I think I'm going to go in and try and pick up some of this and see if I can define some of these forms and shapes here. It's going all the way up to here. And I think I'm going to just go ahead and just let it sort of fill in again completely. So this is the brush that I just got 100% opacity, and there's no there's no transfer turned on, so I can just get, solid painting here because I don't really need fill at this point on this, and I just want to get some sort of rock formation forms happening. And you can see that I've got, the edges happening here. It looks like I'm going to have to do something better there. I don't know why that's not painting, so I'm going to have to go in and fill that one in a bit more, and then maybe this one over here. And again, pretty loose. I'm letting it stay loose. The end product is going to be loose. So with that looking like that, again, I can go ahead and lock it. Okay, I'm going to skip my brush back over to the one that's got more texture. I mean, even one of these might work. These could be, let's try one of these and see what we get with one of these. From year to year, I forget which brushes do which. It's giving me some nice line work stuff. That could be kind of cool. You can also even get these sorts of things to spin around. That's got some nice texture. Make it big, and it looks like it could produce some decent results. Again, I could also try that that same square one I had with the texture here, and I could go and take the value down. And so those overlays are starting to sort of build up. And again, maybe I want to hit this with some oranges on the edges or something. And so I'm going to go pick up that orange, and I'm going to go pick up that crazy brush I like, the one that's got this twisty sort of feel to it. I think it's in Shemanke's or whoever it is. And take the opacity down. I hate the fact that Photoshop doesn't remember what your brush settings were. From each sort of load, it doesn't hang on to it for whatever reason. I don't know why. It's kind of a drag that it doesn't. You have to keep resetting it every single time you go back to a brush if you've want the opacity always lower on it. I was just hitting that with some values to see if I can pull it up from out of the back like it's light coming through or whatever. See what happens there. And then I've got the next layer, and just keep doing that. So don't refine a lot in one spot. Don't try and paint the rocks in one spot. Keep moving forward, back in and out of your image, making sure that you're keeping, your sort of your levels and everything going properly so that you get depth happening in your scene, if that makes any sense whatsoever. And I'm going to grab that color again and low on my, kind of like that brush. And I'm just kind of dabbing almost, like I'm tabbing at it. And we still locked? Yes, we're still locked on this one. And this one's not, but we've got some transparency or something that's odd there. And so we're just going to keep building that up and see if we can get this depth happening and the sort of look we want. There's just, the idea is we never want to sort of try too hard in any one area at any one time, because the whole image has to be correct. The entire thing has to have the look and feel that we're after. And so, it's going to take sort of playing around, layering some stuff up, moving back and forth, and making sure you keep that kind of, that overall feel going. At some point, you can even start considering, lighting overall on top of everything. And, you could even just put that up above. I'm not really concerned where everything is, but eventually you could go and say, well, what, maybe some of this lighting value should be coming in and just hitting everything a little bit. And again, you might want to find a brush that does some cool, funky, patterny kind of textury stuff that overlays and just start blasting it on top of things. I'm not quite sure which one here. I'm going to have to play with a bunch of stuff. There you go. That one actually looks quite nice. I don't know what that is. Language, Russian, maybe. You'd have to guys have to tell me. So I'm picking up some of this color, and I can just you can make your brush big, and it just gives you some color if you wanted. I don't know. You can pick up some things and try some areas, and you can see it rotates as it goes. So as you start to build things up, start to try stuff, and again, don't get into drawing lines. I don't want lines. No lines. Okay, you're painting at this point. You're going to try and paint your image, and it's about the depth. It's about having that depth to draw you in, and the lighting going on, and the structure and form of it.